Money is useless, means nothing, it's just bullshit.
Our future might be hazy, but it's still something that we're at least looking at.
You got to do more. Like, I judge you by who you teaches. If you say you want to do it, you have all the opportunity to go do it.
Yeah.
With the bullshit.
Because if I'm going to spend my $1,000, I'm going to spend it on knowledge of myself and not a trip to Disneyland.
The way to work your career nowadays is to go where you wanted and continually jump jobs so you get 25% pay jumps every single time. You stay. All right, so you guys, you have advantages, you have opportunities, you have pretty good background, pretty good upbringing, you got people behind you, you got good school, good degree, good experience, you've got money, you're white, you've got all the advantages of the world, right?
All right.
All right. What do we go tell the guys that aren't doing what you did today? The guys that aren't going out and getting information, the guys that weren't up early trying to do more? What do we tell those guys that are chilling, don't think they can make it, don't think there's opportunity out there?
Stop being lazy for one. Start making something of yourself, make your bed, get up.
Ask them what their why is.
I'm not going to ask that because they're just going to ask me and I'm not going to know how to ask it.
It's an important thing, right?
Mm.
They need a little bit of a challenge. They need a little bit of a David Goggins in their head.
No, I agree. You got to point it out.
So a lot of guys these days are got their head in the cloud of video games or they just kind of don't care, taking day by day. I would say I like to think we have a different mindset of in the future. Now, granted, our future might be hazy, but it's still something that we're at least looking at. You know, we have maybe too broad.
So you have no doubt that you're going to be successful.
Yeah, I'm going to be successful.
That's true, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
Okay, how do we help these people that have a doubt, that don't think they can be?
Show them by example.
Got to, right?
Yeah.
So you've got all the opportunity in the world, so you've got to go out and create some more people.
Mm.
You got to do more. Like, I judge you by who you teaches.
Sure.
You got
I
me?
got you. I got you.
You got the advantage. You got the opportunity to talk to me. Not that that's an awesome thing, but it's better than some had, right?
Sure.
I at least got you thinking.
Mm.
You got the opportunity. You got to go do
At least I can
something.
answer what the why is now.
Can you?
You may never be able to answer that, right? It may keep changing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mine changes. That little poster behind me has changed multiple times in the last couple of years.
Sure.
I got it right there. Leader Zane. I build strong, profitable businesses. I create people who create people. I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise. And then I got everything beyond that.
Make bigger
As
font.
to what's going on. I don't need it. I got it on my phone. I got it on my computer. I can look at it anytime. I can
There you
turn
go.
and read it. I read it. Try to read it once a day, just to keep me directed as to what's actually going on. You guys got to do the same thing. You got an opportunity in front of you. You got to do more. I want to get into sales. Quit saying it and do it.
Fair enough.
I want to get some real estate. Quit saying it and do it. Get your real estate license. Start working for somebody. Find some property you guys can do together. Find something your parents will invest with you, and you guys go fuck it up.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, I
Find
got you.
something for them. You said your
I'm
dad
gonna
has
find a
property.
toilet.
Start running this property
I'm going
for
to clean
him.
the shit out of that toilet for you.
Yeah,
There you go.
Exactly. Yeah, help your dad find some plumbers. Help him run his books. Help him figure out what's going on. Actually get involved. If you say you want to do it, you have all the opportunity to go do it.
Yeah.
Quit the bullshit.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
you can still have fun and do stupid things, but do block in time that if these are the things you want to do, go do them. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do if 5 years from now you get into it and realize it's not what you want to do? Wouldn't it have been cool to
Shift
know that
plans.
like now, so
Right,
you
right.
can find something else to do?
Sure. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Gaining those experiences you
You're
can.
going to know a lot of people from your school that go out and get their degree and get their job and fucking hate it.
Well, yeah,
Mhm.
the last thing I ever want to do is get stuck on a 9 to 5 where I just want to get home and drink my life away or something. That's
Yeah.
the last thing I ever
Wouldn't
want
it
to
be
do.
great? Sit in an hour of traffic, do what you're told, sit in a little pen like an animal, sit in another hour of
Stuck in
traffic.
the Matrix.
Have your old lady yell at
hamster
you.
wheel.
Your kids can't even put a fucking dish in the sink.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good life, right?
Right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Have some drinks till you pass out and then get up a few hours later and do it again every
Yeah.
day for 45 years and then
Well,
die.
what I have learned is I don't want to do construction, or at least on the road.
Yeah, I've also
construction.
learned that.
That's why I work, right?
I worked on an internship. I worked at this company, and we worked in like Nashville or Smyrna, and so I mean every day we start at 6:30. You know,
Sure.
if you're gonna start at 6:30, obviously you got to wake up earlier than that, and we'd probably end around maybe 5 or something. But I mean that was every day, even up to Saturday. We didn't work on Sunday. Well, no, we didn't work on Sunday. It was a lot of traveling. And I learned
Sure.
that I'm a people person. I like being with people. I like being around somebody. I like family. And I can't really live out of a hotel. I was living out of a hotel for a while. And one of the guys, I was like, yeah, man, I just hate the life on the road. And he told me, he was like, there is no life on the road. And
It's a hard
that,
life.
it hit me.
It's a
It hit me
very
hard
hard
because
life
I
on the
was
road.
like, he's so right. There is not a life on the road. It's not stable. I mean, we're probably maybe 6 months at a location, then you're on to the next location, which is cool if you like to see the world, you like to travel. By all means.
Well, if you're young and you have no kids,
that's not my
and you have no responsibilities, and it's an area you want to work. So, for instance, I think every mechanical engineer that graduates should go work in manufacturing in clusterfuck Iowa at third shift at some paper mill, and then work their way through that company, going from plant to plant, wherever that may be. Actually do the travel, right? Start with, there's a company here called Vanderlandy. They take a lot of my mechatronics kids and they put them installing assembly lines all over the country. So they're like 90% travel. I highly encourage that your first couple of years. You'll get 4 to 5 years of experience in that 1 year.
You meet a lot of people.
Well, and it is what you make of it. So if you understand that every time you're there to learn something, do something, make some money, and meet some people, and you make that happen every time, then it becomes a very strong, worthwhile experience.
Yeah.
If you play the woe is me, I'm a victim, I don't get to see anybody, I miss my family, I don't have time to work out, I'm getting fat. If you play that game, then it's a miserable experience.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't necessarily that. It was the fact of like...
It's okay to know you don't want to do it the rest of your life, but I do highly encourage it your first couple of years. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to compress time. So anytime you can get 4 years of experience in a year.
Right.
See, what's really bad is there's people who come to me for an interview or to talk to me for a job that have 10 years of 1 year of experience. So they did one thing, but they've done it for 10 years.
Right.
And they claim they have 10 years of experience. But dude, you've only done one thing, 10 years.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, I don't want to get shoehorned in.
Try the other direction.
I have a question for you. How many employees do you oversee?
We got 12 bodies, about 6, maybe 7 are full-time. And then we've got a massive host of vendors, network, and customers, and all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay.
I've got probably got 6 in our engineering group, and we probably need another 6 more, but taking our time.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Got to find the right ones, right? That's respectable.
100%. We're in a spot where we've grown massively, and now we need to kind of button down for a minute and stack cash and rebuild our profit and our reserves.
Right.
We spent money to grow as quick as we could.
You got to spend money to make money. It's impractical otherwise.
There you are, parroting shit you've heard before.
How are you going to go get money out of nowhere?
Do you have examples?
You got to spend money to make money. That's everything. You got a lemonade stand. What are you going to buy? You got to go buy it in a stand.
I don't have to spend anything.
Oh, come on. You want to start a lemonade stand. All right, let's go buy lemonade.
Start a lemonade stand.
Let's go buy lemons.
I don't have to. I can get an investor to front all of that for me.
That's still spend money to make money.
Not spending my money.
Spending
their money?
Aren't you paying
That's
that
still money.
back,
That's still money. You have to pay them back.
And they're probably going to send me customers.
You still got to pay them back,
And if I'm smart, it's not the lemonade stand I'm after. It's the deal I'm going to do with them after that. That's smart.
You still got to pay them back. There's
no such thing
as a free
any money to start a lemonade.
There's no such thing as a free sandwich. You have to pay them back. You just said our fee is this.
Sure.
That's not free. We just gave our time and our effort to the video. It's
an
exchange of goods.
The cliche, you have to spend money to make money, which keeps most people from not doing anything because they think they have to have money.
Well, that's the wrong mindset.
Something.
I mean, it's
correct. But you're perpetuating it.
But I don't,
because you're using words like passive income that 90% of people don't understand what they mean, and you're saying you have to spend money to make money, which 90% of people don't understand what that means. So you have to be careful. If you guys are going to be leaders, you've got to change your language.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. That you got to spend money to make money keeps most people from doing anything.
All right, Webster. Then what'd you say it would?
You want to get leverage on your investments.
Okay. Leverage. All right.
Okay.
You want to get multiples on your investments. You want to put in the least amount of inputs for the most amount of outputs. Sure. You got to continually judge what that is, whether it's your time invested, your knowledge, your connections, your resources, or your money. You want to get the most you can out of it. You want to get 2 and 3 and 4 for ones, right? That's how you get ahead.
I want that 1 year of experience being 4 years.
You want to get 4 years of experience in 1 year.
I got you.
You're trying to get leverage because that's the only, because you have finite time.
Sure.
Okay, everyone has exactly the same amount of time. So to do more than others, you have to do more than others in the same amount of time. So you've got to get leverage. So you got to continually ask yourself, is this the most important thing I need to be doing right now? Most of the time in your day, you're going to say, probably not.
I don't know. I mean, but there's got to be So there can't be a limit to how important something can be. Like you could always be doing something more important, correct?
Well,
I mean,
now you're trying to dispartize it like
why.
an engineer and get into the particulars, right? I want you to continually ask yourself, is this the most important thing I need to be doing right now? And actually have a realistic conversation with yourself.
Isn't that going to always be no, though?
No, like right now, isn't this probably one of the most important things I could be doing? Sure.
This right now?
Okay. There are a lot of other things I probably should be doing, but I give myself permission because I've completed those that this is now the most important thing I'm doing.
Sure.
And now I can focus on it.
What's the Saturday?
But if we were sitting here with cameras off playing PlayStation together, I would ask myself, I could go do that with my kids at the house while doing something else. Is this the most important thing I need to be doing?
Sure. Okay.
That's what I'm asking yourself. Don't beat yourself up or just make the quick question. So it's back to the things I was saying a minute ago. Ask yourself, ooh, wait a minute, where'd that come from? That little line you threw out. You got to have money to make money. Where'd that come from? Did I hear that? Did I see that? Do I believe that? Is that true? Right? Because the corollary to that, and I told you this the other day, I ask myself often, what if I'm wrong? It's a quick qualifier. Most of the time I'm not. I've probably got it figured out. I'm pretty smart. I'm an engineer. I know what's going on.
So you have to call back at 4 a.m.
But I will ask myself, what if I'm wrong? A really cool one me and the main guy in the company and I do when we get into an argument, halfway through, we switch sides.
Oh, okay. That's kind of neat.
He hated it with a passion. Now we love it.
So when you say switch side, do you mean like if I'm arguing to, I'm going to put a...
We completely switch sides.
If I'm arguing, let's build this bridge, and you're saying let's not, then you switch side and you say, let's build it, and I say not.
And what's really cool is at the end of that initial switch, the other person realizes you heard everything they said, you completely understand their position, you actually brought up a point they hadn't even thought of, and you just have a different opinion and we need to get to the truth. There's no reason to convince you because you have data I don't, and now we need to figure out what the truth is.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can get to the truth.
Do you have a name for that? Think of one if you don't.
What, switching sides?
Switch sides.
He's building
Doesn't
that.
have to be complicated, dude.
Call it a switcheroo.
We're not going to call it the max.
No, not going to call it the max. Max is going to be a major mistake that you don't
We're
want
not
to make.
going to be maxing it.
To the max. We actually
Next
do
time
have
I max out, I'm
we
going to
we do have a name for that. Yeah, when growing up, I was pretty like athletic kid, but sometimes I'd be a little bit too,
So what happened?
extreme. So when I accidentally hurt one of my siblings, they would call it a maxident. So
That's not bad.
Oh,
That's
maxident.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I like that.
He's trying to
I didn't
save
like it growing up.
He's trying to save it.
Yeah.
But it's back to qualify where the information comes from. Ask yourself if you're wrong. Just kind of look for a minute and go, am I really making the right decision? Do I have all the right data? And if you do, fucking commit to it.
Yeah.
Commit to it. Go. Make it happen. Crush it. Fail. Burn the shit to the ground. Fail spectacularly, right? Go test it out.
because you still
But
learn.
just for a moment, right before you get started. Same thing I do, right? Before I seal something and say it's good, I ask myself what I missed. Back up 30,000 feet. What's going on? Ooh, wait a minute. What if I'm wrong? What if I missed something? What if I didn't have it right? Don't be so pompous and arrogant that you end up killing everybody.
Right, like the challenger.
Don't be so pompous and arrogant that you die with negative $38 and you didn't set up your family.
Yeah. I hope not to be
Feeling
there.
me?
Yeah, I got you. 100%. Makes sense.
All right, keep going. What you got? Anything?
Yeah.
Mm.
No, I was just saying. I feel like I'd ask you the step by step, but I think
Right.
you're just gonna say it comes back to your why and your
Sure.
what you're doing and what you're
Just
planning.
get
to say.
started.
Yeah.
That's really the first step. Is just get started. Quit the bullshit. Quit the excuses. Quit the if then. Oh,
Mhm.
I'll do it when I have the
I got you.
round to it bullshit. Yeah.
Right,
Don't
right.
do any of that. Just go
Okay.
get started. Go fail. Go fuck it up. Go talk to somebody. Go get some information. And you're engineers, so set things up ahead of time. And that's why I push you for go ahead and start working on your job now. You only got a year. You think that's a long time.
I guess, a lot of this come down to connections and stuff, and clearly you've got lots of connections and stuff. And so I guess what's the best way to go about making connections? Is just hanging out at places where people...
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So how do you make good connections?
Right.
All right. I want you to think about the people you're really well connected with. What do you
Mhm.
do?
You're just asking how I met them?
No. So think about 3 or 4 really good connections you have.
Good connections as
How
in-
do they take place and how do you keep them going? How do they become connections? Did
Like-
you not
like-
talk to each other?
No, a lot of
Did
people I
you
worked for.
not
It's
hang out
probably
together?
just family, friends,
Did
or
you
things that
not
went off
spend
that
time
way.
together? Did you not create experiences together?
Most relationships occur through proximity and time.
I somewhat agree, but you can force that hand.
Sure.
Well, you force more time on proximity.
Mhm.
But it's still proximity.
So I have a good buddy. We're in a group together. We resonate. We talk. So now we have a call once a week.
Sure.
We talk for an hour, 3 of it. We just spent a month in Europe together. We
That's really
traveled Europe just making it up as we went. Okay? I told him that my wife and I were going to Disney for our wedding anniversary, and he's like, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard."
Please don't tell me you're a Disney adult.
Dude, Disney without kids is the coolest shit ever. And you can laugh, and he did too. He laughed heartily, and I'm like, all right, I'll challenge you to show up. So he flew in on a Wednesday night and went to Disney with us Thursday, Friday, and now he'll be there every year for our anniversary, and he's bringing more people.
No,
he's like, that's literally the coolest shit I've ever done in my life.
Maybe we'll do that for spring break or something.
Well, don't do it like the sheep. Do it like we do.
Right.
Yeah, I want to do it. I'm not taking kids, and I'm going by myself because it's too expensive.
Is it?
The current time stamp.
Why do you say that?
Because if I'm going to spend my $1,000, I'm going to spend it on knowledge and myself, and not a trip to Disneyland.
Okay. Well, if you could hang out with me for a week, would you spend $1,000?
What are you going to teach me that week?
You really have to ask that?
No, I think I wouldn't.
Depends what I'm doing. If I spend that $1,000.
There we go in golf.
Is $1,000 your break point of yes or no?
Nah.
Is that your max money?
That's
max.
Well, everybody's got their number.
That's max money.
Yeah. Is that your max money? Is that where the decision has to now be serious?
Today, yes.
Okay.
We'll go with that one.
That's more than most people, right?
It's respectable.
That's
another reason.
I don't have that type of money.
It was like $50.
That's another part of the why, though. It's like I don't want to ever be limited by, I can't spend $1,000 this week. I'm sorry. So you want to be able to make enough money to do that.
The thing is, if it's important enough, you figure it out. Okay. You got what, mom, dad? Do you have siblings?
Yes.
Older or younger?
All of the above. I have 6 other siblings.
6 siblings that are all older?
I said all above, like above and below, all of the above.
Oh, okay. You got a bunch of siblings.
Yeah,
right?
I have 2
Who's
older.
your favorite?
I can't say that. That doesn't happen. It depends on the day, if I'm being honest.
Are you and your mom pretty close?
Yes.
Okay. So if I had a gun to your mom's head, you couldn't come up with $1,000?
I would give you $1,000.
You give
I
me
would
all
sell
of the
my
$1,000.
kidney on the day.
Yeah, no, right? So if you have a strong enough why, you'll figure it out. Money is useless, means nothing, is just bullshit. We make it out to be everything. It means nothing. When's the last time you actually held money in your hand? You got some? You got some cash on you?
No, I don't have $1.
This is nothing. This means jack. Throw it in the
worth
fucking trash.
something.
It's useless.
And I got the most important thing to me.
There you go.
There you go.
Don't let money be the limiting factor because you can always come up with another way.
Okay.
Right? I can't get into rental property without money. What if there's an old guy that just wants you to manage his property? What if there's a guy that wants you to bird dog? Or if there's a guy that just wants you to find deals? Or if there's a dude with shit tons of money who doesn't have time to find property and you find it for him?
So this goes back to the connections then. How do you find people like that, though? If you start from nowhere, if I were to say, took away all your connections and I told you, I need you to get into real estate this week.
Drop me in clusterfuck, Iowa with no phone and nobody.
Yeah, what are you
no
doing?
Internet, no email, no nothing. What do I do?
It's the question.
Start selling crack.
Start talking to people.
Where did you
You've
go?
seen the undercover billionaire. What do you do? Started talking to people. Found some people he could provide value to. And that's the key. See, I think that's the distinct difference. Most of you guys, when you come to somebody, you're thinking, what can they do for me? You need to be thinking the opposite.
Sure.
You need to say, what can I do for that person? How can I provide value? How can I do something for them? How can I help them? Maybe later they'll reciprocate.
Sure.
But you got to go in on the front end very genuine. I'm here to help you. I'm here to do something for you. I'm here to take you to the next level. What can I do for you? And you know what? Hey, at the end of 2 weeks of work, if I could just ask you one question, that would be super dope. I did that as an engineer. I took all the super smart, bright engineers to lunch, and in return, they had to answer one question. Although I messed that up the first time.
Yeah. What was the question you asked?
Well, I took a extremely brilliant old Chinese engineer to lunch, and I asked him the question, and like a minute and a half went by, and then he was like, "You didn't say I had to answer the question." So I had to buy him a whole nother lunch to give him an answer. So now I qualify that. I will buy you lunch, but you must answer.
However.
So what kind of questions would you ask these people?
Well, it depends on the person, right? So if
Sure.
I'm talking to Elon, what am I going to ask him? If I'm talking to you, what am I going to ask him? It's particular to the person, right?
So what'd you ask that individual?
So Ray is the best mechanical engineer I have ever met in my entire life. He built a machine that took an antenna in a 40-foot by 40-foot plane, so bigger than that room out there, and he could stop this antenna within 2 thousandths in all 3 directions. That's not possible. At the time, it was extremely not possible. He did it. You can't do it. He did it. You can't do it. There's the data. He just did it. Here's the super cool part. Back to the shipping and packaging. It's going up a mountain in China and slides off the trailer and rolls down the hill. And they asked him to build it again, and he said no.
Oh, man.
I've already done the impossible. I will not do it again.
Who are that poor guy?
So what did I ask him? I asked him a shit ton of mechanical engineering questions.
Sure. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Just
the
like
best engineers I've ever been around in any form.
You just give them hypotheticals, or how do you ask an engineering question?
I think I
that's a
asked him
tough
some
one.
particulars about the project, like how did
Sure.
you figure out how to get that to work, or what did you do here, or hey, if I was trying to figure that out, what direction would I go? Just shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
what was the budget on that project? Do you know?
A lot more than $1,000.
That's a lot.
Thank you, Zane.
So
Thank
for you, that's a lot.
big spender. Huh?
Oh man.
Getting him to rebuild it is what the cost was.
Right, time is money.
They ended up adding a 0 or 2 to get him to even think about it.
Hmm.
Because it literally wasn't possible. I think he wasn't sure he could do it again.
Oh man.
No, I mean, it's that hard. The problem is that hard.
You just not save his.
40 foot by 40 foot, bigger than the wall that you
Yeah.
walked in out there. You can open a door and throw the measurement completely off. Temperature raises.
Right.
Everything's over. Now imagine the cable management in a 40 foot by 40 foot and not affecting position.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Impossible.
Yeah,
You can't
That's
do it.
incredible.
You got
Heating,
it twice.
expanding, heating.
So yeah, that was a cool lunch.
I'm sure it was.
I bet.
The second one.
Other dudes, I remember one guy, I was like, how do you not get fired? Because you're fucking terrible. I think that was my question to him.
What was his answer?
He was actually working on getting his commercial pilot, and he actually flies for, I think, Delta now. So he was just using it as a stepping stone to move to another gig.
Oh, I got you.
He laughed because he was like, yeah, I'm pretty bad.
Sure.
I was like,
Okay.
yeah, how do you fly below the radar? So I borrowed some of his techniques.
And what are those?
Flying below the radar.
What were they?
It's pretty easy. You won't be able to do it. But
Not yet.
What do you mean by that? Why would you say that? I bet I could.
well, Max won't be able to. He's got to talk and make the comment and say the thing. So there's no way he can just fly under the radar in a pin somewhere and collect his check. He's got to come out and get some coffee and talk to somebody.
That's fair. I like
Or he
that,
would
though.
explode. He would absolutely explode.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's good then.
Whereas I can think of a dude I worked with at Lockheed because they were paying hourly and then he got time and a half if he worked. So he literally would stay in his cube for 20 hours a day. He would come out bloodshot.
I'd hate that.
Eyes,
That's not worth
but
it.
he was making money for his family. He was the first guy over. So he was trying to bring his whole family over with
Mhm.
every dime that he made. So every
Well,
moment
that's
he
his
sat
why.
in that little pen, that was
That's
his
his
why.
why.
Yeah, very
Yep.
strong, right?
Makes sense.
And he was also buying rental properties,
He's on Facebook Marketplace.
running around at the time. We had just gotten Netscape.
No.
And actually, there was an end to the internet at the time because we were in boring ass jobs, so we read everything. And the only thing that actually updated is every day at about 12:10 p.m. Eastern, ESPN would change a few things on their main page. So you'd hit refresh and you'd have like 3 new things to read, and then you just wait till the next day
Wow.
because you read everything.
Right.
Exhilarating job.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Highly
So
recommend it.
besides dicking around, when did you actually find time for work? Or obviously you had time for work.
So
What
here's the
did
thing.
you
So here I am. I've got my master's degree. Project looked really cool. It's in stress. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. Stress analysis, figuring out complex structures. It's aircraft. I totally dig aircraft. I wanted to get my pilot's license. I did while I worked there. I go into my boss. I've had my project for a while. I go sit down and map it out. All right, I think I can do this in 3 to 4 months. He's like, it's going to take 18. I'm like, no, man. Here's my thing. Here's this thing. I'm looking at 3.5, 4 months max if this doesn't work out. He goes, spread it out. Then I realized I'm on a government contract, and
Yeah,
they were
I was
getting
about to
paid for
say-
the time, not the task.
Yeah. I was
Now
about to say, I think
here's the
that's
extremely
one
cool
side
part.
spread
So one day I decided, well, I can turn this into going down to Warner Robins to talk to the Air Force guys. So I go down there and I meet with my rep who's got me doing the project. So we walk around doing everything. We go back to his office and he's like, what was it you're working on? He goes, why the hell are you doing that? He's like, we've never had a problem with that.
If you were to get a master's from engineering, it's a lot better to go for an MBA. And I guess it depends on what you're doing at the end of the day. But do you think that there's a whole lot of benefit from getting a master's in engineering versus something else if you're already an engineer? Because the pay difference isn't huge.
So most of the people that know me are chuckling right now because they assume I'm going to go on about an hour-long rant here. I'll give you the short version.
I can't wait.
So there's a book called The 10-Day MBA.
Okay.
And it's written by a dude who went to get his MBA, spent 18 months of his life and a shit ton of money, and realized, wow, I really just needed like 6 questions answered. So he wrote the book. So
Okay.
I encourage you, if you're thinking about getting an MBA, read the 10-Day MBA. It took me 22 days the first time I read it. It's a very intense book. And if you still want more, then think about your MBA.
Okay. Sure.
So that's just direct MBA discussion.
Mhm.
Now, if you're talking about a master's in engineering or a technical degree versus an MBA, I would hold that technical degree because that's knowledge that is so fine-tuned that you really can't get anywhere else. Okay? There's nothing you're going to learn in MBA school you can't learn off of YouTube.
Mhm.
Okay? You may not get the connections. That's the point of MBA school, is to connect with those people.
Right.
To get in those groups, to get talking to those people. That's why you should go if that's what you want to do. But just for sake of knowledge, there's not a damn thing they're going to show you can't learn elsewhere.
Okay.
But you're not going to learn extremely technical, high-level engineering unless you're in the lab with the professor doing it that day. So if you feel like you need more technical information, and here's how I'll describe the difference between your bachelor's and your master's, okay? In your bachelor's degree, you get introduced to a whole bunch of really cool tools, and they stop. And then in your master's degree, you learn how to use a group of them with extreme precision. Now you're a craftsman. Now you can do something. Now you can really hone in and do things that are important. So like my graduate degree, I focused in mechanics, in stress analysis, and vibration, fatigue, really got good at designing things to last long periods of time and making sure the structure and all the components work together. Okay. Imagine how that's helped me in everything that I do every day from now on. Now the MBA, I learn along the way, right?
Sure.
I can pick that up from literally anyone or just failing a lot.
Yeah.
So
you don't think it saves you any time then to get an MBA as far as the failure?
What are you trying to do with it?
Well, yeah, just figure
if you want to work for a company that only hires MBAs and that's your only way out, then you need the MBA. If it gets you in a club that you can't get in, that you have to get into, that's the route. That's the ticket you got to go buy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, but if I'm not planning on working for someone else my entire life and working in engineering my entire life, and maybe I am.
Would you rather take a year and a half to learn how to run your books and your operations, or would you rather have a year and a half running your company and then hire an MBA to do that shit for you, right?
Wouldn't it be good to know what my hiree is doing though? Shouldn't you know the job decently well? You don't need to, I guess, but wouldn't it be helpful to know what they're doing?
You know what your admin's doing. Do you need to take a class on Excel and Word processing?
No.
Okay. Now, if you had if you were starting a company and your main people were coding, you probably need to learn how to code a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Otherwise, it's a foreign language to you.
Mm-hmm.
But an MBA is not coding. It's business principles. And sometimes you get into deeper details. Maybe you learn how to run the P&L a different way, or how to manage for value creation versus cash flow, right? All right, cool. Those are all topics of great discussion. Mm-hmm. The cool part of MBA school is the connections you'll make and the projects you'll do and the people that you'll get advice from. It has nothing to do with the actual material.
Okay.
But you can still get connected with those people a different way. What if you sponsored an MBA project at the local school from your business? Now you get access to all those people and you'll have to go for a year and a half.
Okay. No, that's what you're saying. But I mean, is it not worth it to go for a year and a half? And if it's paid for, it's a year and a half.
That's up to you, right?
Oh, no, I guess so. But as someone who's starting...
But if I had a choice, if I was doing engineering and I knew I was going to work in technology, I would get the technical information because I can do more with it.
In that field. But if you're going to do engineering and you're going to go into the business side of engineering, you'd want an MBA.
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, I guess it does. A lot of it comes down to just what you're doing.
Run a $150 million trucking operation and need to optimize for flow of operations and personnel through the entire grouping of how the company is structured and data is collected?
Who knows?
If so,
I'm not gonna limit myself.
You ought to get your MBA.
Sure. No, I got you.
At that point, if you're there, I think you could hire those people.
Sure.
Because the thing is that I'll call it that technology changes quickly, whereas we don't really change a lot of the fundamentals of engineering. Steel's still strong, and we're going to build stuff out of it. Concrete and steel work together really well. That's not really changing. I mean, we'll enhance it. We'll put some fiber and other things in there. Sure. But the MBA, I mean, I can probably download an Excel program that'll outperform half the MBAs.
Understandable.
Where you really want them is when you're starting to get into the bigger areas of business and mergers and acquisitions and coming into a company that you bought and trying to optimize it and make it operationally more efficient and get a lower working cost of capital in there and all those kind of things. But a lot of those things you can just learn from books or learn from other people or hire or sponsor a project at the MBA school. Sounds like you're already dead set about doing it, so just go fucking do it.
No, I don't
report back.
There you go. Yeah, no, I don't have any necessarily plans to go to grad school. It's not something I think
it's held in higher regard than it might. I think you hear a lot of push for getting an MBA from schools that offer MBAs. And it's just like banks tell you should buy a house and get a mortgage because that's really good for the bank. Yeah.
Okay, so that's another question I've heard. And again, subjective, and yeah, I've heard it, and you can, do the thing about that. But, this is a Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's talking about, a house is a liability and you shouldn't You shouldn't buy a house until you're positioned that. And then, or I don't know. I haven't finished the book. I don't think he says you shouldn't buy a house, but he just said, he does say it's a liability and not an asset. And then he talks about that a lot. That's something I never really understood. Because like you just said, it's the bank telling you should get a mortgage, buy a house. And you're there, you're paying that mortgage for 30 years, and that goes up in interest every year, and that's just a hole in your pocket. So what do you think about that? Because, as far as you can rent a place, and that's obviously it costs more than your mortgage, but...
Okay, so let's go back to where this came from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you're in the 50s, and we need people to raise some kids, and the banks need somewhere to put a bunch of money. And so they got together and said, what if we created a mortgage interest deduction on taxes and really pushed home ownership in this country? Well, then people would buy homes, fill out these interstates we built, buy shit to go in their homes, build a robust economy. Now we can contain them, put them in locations, build schools, make them drive and sit in traffic and do what they're told all day, right?
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
But let's look at it from those people's point of view. At the time, you could buy a house for 20 grand. You could get a mortgage where if one of you worked, you could afford your house, you could get a car, and you could pay for 2 kids and have plenty of money and have a little money maybe for retirement, right? You got a huge tax break on your taxes by doing the non-standard deduction, doing itemized deductions, and putting in your house mortgage and your other bills and your kids and all those kind of things. So it actually did lower your taxes. And your home just kept appreciating. So when you finally either sold it and moved to another one, or when you were old and your mortgage was paid off, you had something you could hand off to your kids. Right? Like my mom's house. She owes absolutely nothing. She passed away several years ago. We're just closing out her estate and selling the house. There's almost 400 grand that'll go to her kids.
Sure.
And we don't have to pay taxes on that. Okay.
Right.
All right. Let's fast forward to today. Houses are fucking stupid expensive. Okay. The house I bought in 2018 is now going for double. That's crazy.
That's great
Okay?
for you.
That's not the 20K. Well, kind of, but it's also terrible
You gotta
because
move into another house.
if I need another house, they're now
That's true.
$800,000.
Right.
So it hasn't done anything for me
Sure.
other than make it
Inflation is
unaffordable for
inflation.
people like you starting.
Sure.
We also changed the standard deduction is much higher now.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't help you like it did us. And your house isn't necessarily going to appreciate anymore because everybody's dying and moving and old people are going away. And there's not going to be people to buy the houses like there were. Our whole economic theory is based on expansion, but now we're running out of people.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have a theory for contraction. And that's where we're headed. Now, here's the other thing. Back in my parents' day, if you started a job and you left before 2 years, you were a job hopper and no one would ever hire you again.
Right.
Okay. Compare that to today. If you're there more than 15 minutes, it's a surprise, right?
Sure.
Okay. So you're continually changing jobs now. You were never changing jobs. The house isn't appreciating. It was always appreciating. The house cost too much. It didn't cost that much. You don't get a tax break. You used to get a tax break. Okay. Home ownership made sense for your parents. It made sense for your parents' parents. For you, it's fucking stupid. I don't get a tax deduction. It costs too much. I can't afford it. And it ties me down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the way to work your career nowadays is to go where you're wanted and continually jump jobs so you get 25% pay jumps every single time. You stay in a job, you get 3%. You change the job to across the street, you get 25%. You wait 3 years and you come back, you get another 25%. That dude's been there the whole time. He's gotten 7%. You've
Right.
gotten 75%. Who's
Sure.
going to be better off? Because
There's
you
there's
weren't
something
tied
to
down.
hopping.
You were flexible. Oh, what if I lose my deposit on my lease? Well, you're going to lose it anyway because the landlord's going to fuck you and claim that there was a hole in the wall.
Right.
That deposit's gone. Don't even think you're getting it back. Don't
Sure.
matter how bad you clean and whatever you do, he's going to find something. Just let it go. Okay. Cost of doing business. But now I can move. Now I can go places. Now I can change jobs. Now I can go to the opportunity. Now if the company moves or I can do something else, or even now, more importantly, you can go live somewhere else. You ain't got to live in New York City. You can live in Iowa and work in New York City. You can get
Sure.
paid New York City money to live in Iowa, right?
Sure.
If you bought a place in Kansas versus you bought a place in Manhattan, which place is nicer with the same amount of money, right?
Right. Sure.
$1 million crack house, broom closet, acreage with lake and everything else, right?
Sure. Sure. Okay.
So to me, the world has changed.
Yeah.
So
I
we
know.
need to change with it. So buying a house to me no longer makes any sense whatsoever.
That makes sense. So you should rent.
Isn't there a desirability though, and just staying put? I guess it's to each their own.
Okay, so let's think about that for a minute. Everyone claims, okay, as soon as I have kids, I have to stay somewhere. Well, they don't go to school till they're 5, maybe 6. So you got 5 years right there. Do you think the baby cares that they're still in Alpharetta, Georgia? No. Right? Now, when you're 7, if you change schools, do either of you guys change schools when you were kids?
No, we're both homeschooled.
Okay. So that's another reason you guys are so weird.
Yeah,
Right.
that's all right. We're also
all right. And
ahead of the game.
Did that affect you? Could you have lived somewhere else?
Sure.
Wouldn't have made any difference to you whatsoever, right? Okay. So everybody thinks this makes a big deal.
I mean,
Now, here is the thing. Let's say I do get to high school and I'm a girl. I probably don't want to completely change out my friend set unless I have to.
Right.
So, like for me, my intent was to be the hell out of here a few years ago, but I got remarried and now I have a daughter that's in 9th grade. So I got a few more years. I'll wait until she graduates.
Sure.
I'm not in any hurry. I can still do all the things I want to do. My house, I actually bought because I got in before the explosion in value that shot up, and I bought it to be a rental. I bought it in a neighborhood where 80% of the homes are rentals.
Sure.
And my intent was to buy up a couple, but fucking the values went up literally overnight and I wasn't quite ready.
no one was.
So I bought the house to be a rental, not to live in or to stay there forever, any of those kind of things.
Mhm.
Now, if you get further down the line, let's say you build your own business and it's local to an area and you know you're going to be there for a long period of time, like me, sure, you could buy if you wanted to. Maybe it does make sense. Maybe you can get the acreage you want, do the things that you want, and sell it later for something else. Maybe the town's growing out towards you. You got to think about those things. Again, there's no hard and set rule, but when you're first starting out and you first graduate college, you don't know where you're going to be in 3 years. Why the hell did you buy a house?
This whole moving around, if your dad took that concept, you would have never met your, 12, 16 buddies that went to school together? You would have been bouncing around.
Why do you say that?
Well, what if your dad moved out of Mississippi?
I could meet 4 new people in 15 minutes. I would walk down to the workout place and just start talking to people.
Can do that, but what about all those friendships? You probably learned a lot, did a lot.
I mean, how many of them do I hang out with now?
I don't know.
None.
How many do you hang out with? None?
Maybe they weren't as deep as you thought they were, right?
Well,
Sure.
I heard one time years ago, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
And
people come and go.
Yeah, reason, a season, or a lifetime, and it's it's very much matched up to my experiences. Again, if you're looking for the detriments, there are some, but if you look for the positives, hey, I could in 3 years be making 100% more money by making 2 moves.
Yeah,
that takes you years to make up for, right? And if we're saying that we only have a finite amount of time, have you guys gotten the calendar out and started marking your boxes?
Oh yeah, of course. No,
you should.
I don't have a sexy.
What do you
calendar.
mean by that?
I forget the form of the calendar, but it's basically you take the number of weeks that are left in the entire lifetime.
I hate that.
And then you fill in the box when
That's stupid.
the week is done. You say it's stupid, but if you do it with some perspective and look at it and see what you were doing at the time and what was going on.
I guess it's a good way of looking at how short life is and how
it's
you
extremely
spend maybe
short.
a week doing Disney, then you might not want to do. Oh, I'm sorry, did I?
I would love to do Disney for another week. I'll do many more weeks of Disney. It's more important than sitting around in an office doing what I'm told for a week, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
I guess depends on what you need in that moment in life.
But yeah, we have a very finite amount of boxes.
It's true.
So we need to make use of all of them. So again, if I can move around a little bit and get to the life I'm trying to get to faster, why wouldn't I do that? Instead of listening to what my parents said, which worked in their world. See, that's the biggest problem we have right now. We have a group of people influencing people like yourselves that lived in an entirely different world.
Yeah.
And they don't understand. The world has changed completely. Everything is different. Okay. I don't need an engineer. I don't need education. I don't need a degree. I don't need to buy a house. I don't have to go get my bank account. I don't have to have perfect credit. All this bullshit they were told was true for them, but it's not for us.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. So you should rent for the first quite some time. So you got to.
Well, you don't put a hard, fast rule on it. First off, did
we
learn that earlier? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got you.
But
I've learned that.
You need the math to make sense. So do the math.
Okay. No, that's true.
I've got other content out on this where I'm like, sit down and actually run the numbers.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Where are you at in 5 years going this route or that route? Oh my God, I got my ass kicked because I did what I was told. I didn't go get the data for myself and actually run the numbers for myself. That's what I'm encouraging you to do.
Okay. Sure. Makes sense.
So it's not a hard, fast rule, but yeah, for the most part, why would you tie yourself down? You don't even know if you're going to be in that job for 6 months.
Right.
much less 4 years. I mean, it takes a certain amount of time to even just collect back the money that you put in for closing costs and all those kind of things, right? And you're not going to build any equity up in the first few years because that's how the bank has it set up, because they know you're going to change houses every 4 to 5 years.
Right.
So they're going to get all their money up front and you're not going to pay any equity in. So you basically rented the house anyway.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get a massive increase in value, then you didn't get anything for it. And even if you did, most of that's going to go to the bank or the real estate agent or all these other people that are continually telling you to buy a house. Who tells you to buy a house?
People are
Mortgage
gonna profit from
companies, real estate agents, people that want you to buy shit for your house, the government, because they know they can put you in a spot and tax the shit out of you. Right?
Yeah.
Gotta look at where the information's coming from. Who else tells you? Your parents, because it worked for them.
Sure.
It made sense. They had to get a degree or they didn't get a job.
Yeah.
They had to buy a house because it made sense and they could make money off the deal. Doesn't make sense for us anymore.
Yeah. Follow the money.
World has changed
Cool.
drastically. Did you get some value for your
Oh, heck
hour?
yeah.
Yeah.
I got
Absolutely.
thoughts, quotes
All right.
spinning in my head.
Yeah. Lots of value. That's good.
All right, so we spent some time with Silas and with Max and had some good discussions on everything from careers to degrees to whether you buy a house or not. Thought it went pretty well. You guys throw some cool stuff down in the comments for us. I'm Zane with Zane Engineers Life, and we'll make you better.